What's up, everybody? Today, we're doing a Discord exclusive Q&A. And yes, I've got a Discord server. You can find it in the description. Long story short, with all of my music and stuff being in many different platforms, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, all of it, I wanted somewhere where we could all kind of consolidate together as one big community, not necessarily always talking about music either, but just things like this, little interactive Q&As and people sharing their own music and wanting feedback and artwork and just hanging out and playing games, whatever it is. You can find it in the description, and I would love to see you there. Yoon asks, possibly to Remedial, when you listen to, say, a pop, rock, or metal song, how do you organize your listening mentally? This is a very interesting question, and I want to start off by saying that, I have always latched onto kind of melody or even just vowel sound first before really diving into the lyrics, right? There's never been an instance where I'm like, okay, the lyrics are really pulling me out of the song. If the music is great, I use Coldplay as an example because I just know their music so well over all the years. But there have been so many instances where I am singing along or kind of just matching the vowel sounds, and the words that I think I'm singing are not what actually the lyrics are. Their Head Full of Dreams album from 2015. It's mixed kind of, the vocals are not as clear as some of their other, I would even say the more recent albums. So I'm with you in that. For me, I would say music, melody, melodic arc, harmony, all of that kind of takes precedence over the lyrics themselves. How does it feel when I sing with it? And then after the fact, I'll go in and dive into, okay, what is this song about? What do the lyrics mean? All of that stuff. The Motherload asks, why don't you have a podcast instead of just a YouTube channel? It comes down to time. Funnily enough, my buddy Trey Hodge and I, so for those of you who don't know Trey, he's basically played guitar on so many of my tracks and has mixed so many of my tracks. He's a great guy. He and I have always talked about it'd be great to start a podcast. It'd be great to start a podcast. But when you gotta make music, you gotta make the videos for places like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and you gotta get everything done, and you're juggling multiple soundtracks and albums and singles and collabs. There's only so many hours in the day, and I am very strict about my time, about I do not work before this time, and I do not work after this time, and this entire day I am disconnected from whatever. So I'm very, very careful with how much extracurricular stuff I do. A podcast is not entirely out of the cards. I would have to really figure out, can I be consistent? Can I be frequent? I've really always wanted to do family first freelancers, right? So not even just musicians, but people who are they put their family and their time with family and their kids above everything else. And how do they make that work? How do they find success doing that? Trey and I have toyed with that idea, and I think it'll probably happen eventually, just I don't really know when. And I think it'd be great to just kind of connect with like-minded people, and people who are always wondering, well, how do I make this music thing work? How do I make this art or game dev thing work with a family? It would be for people like that. And that would be a dream to get that going. But again, time. Sean Campbell asks, what has been your proudest accomplishment as a musician? Ultimately, just being able to do music as a sole provider. I think for me, that's the proudest accomplishment, right? Being able to buy this house, being able to pay for all my bills, by doing music. Not even necessarily just composing for video games or performing. It's a mixture of things. And I've talked about this in various podcasts I've been interviewed on, where it's multiple streams of income tends to work best, at least for me, right? So teaching, performing, composing, orchestrating, arranging. There's so many little components that when you add them all up, it kind of creates a big bed. Makes taxes a nightmare, but that's fine. AC asks, can you tell us more about Luna's story? Good old Luna. Yes. Luna, when Marie and I got married, we lived in an apartment that didn't allow pets, and we desperately wanted to get out of there because not only was that a huge component for us, we wanted to get a pet, but it was also really moldy and musty. It was kind of this weird underground, half basement, strange apartment place. So we were like, okay, this is gross. So we moved somewhere where we could have a pet, and we were like, all right, well, I've always wanted a Scottish fold. I've never had one. I was like, let's find a Scottish fold. So we went on the internet. We were searching places, Hoobly.com and all these places, and we found Luna. And the advertisement, I think, was a white plush. I think plush was the literal word. Plush kitten, 6 months old. She originated from the Saginaw area, from what I understand, but we have never found. We actually took the time. We're like, can we find the Scottish Fold breeding facility or wherever, whoever made Luna happen? And we've never found her siblings. We know the original owner said, oh yeah, she was part of a litter, but we've never been able to find. I would pay $1 million to see a photo of Luna, like as like a few week old kitten. Anyway, she's been a hoot and a half. She's really brought a lot of life into our home. Donaram asks, how do you approach marketing yourself as a composer/musical artist? Some do's and don'ts. Oh man, this is a winner because this is something that is perpetually ongoing for me. I think if you stay in a single lane for your entire life, it actually makes it a lot easier. But if you're creative, in most cases, you don't really want to stay in a single lane for most of your life because then that gets boring. At least for me. That's for me at least. That's why I did video game music for 7, 8 years straight. And I was like, I need to lean into my singer-songwriter side or else I'm going to go crazy. Because that was always something I wanted to do, but just kind of staying in video game music land my entire, like almost a decade of nothing else. I was like, I am dying to do something different. So some do's, I guess what I would say is to just be you, right? Be 100% you. No joke. I just signed on to a video game soundtrack gig and the reason it happened, because I am also a singer-songwriter, right? It's very lyric driven, it's very singing driven, but it's for video games, right? So by me just being 100%, this is who I am, I make big orchestra stuff and I sing. And it's kind of theatrical and it's kind of boisterous and it's kind of over the top. That's what I do and I love it. If you are completely yourself and you're not trying to just kind of fit molds because you want to meet people's expectations, people will see the reality of you are being true to yourself and you are being true to your art. People will see that, they will recognize that, and they will latch onto that, and they're gonna love you for it. And then you're gonna kind of excel at that too. You're not gonna be pulling your teeth trying to do heavy metal if you've never done heavy metal in your life, for example. Don't just be like, I guess, try not to just sell your stuff. Like, don't just be like the only thing that's happening on your timeline or whatever is like purely music posts. Like, be a human. People like to see your face. There's a lot of people out there who don't share their face, and that's fine. I get it. Like, I get it for branding purposes or whatever. Okay, fine. What I will say is if they see the human element of who you are, right? I don't know, maybe you're grilling chicken on a Sunday afternoon in the summer. People like to see that because they can relate to that. So my recommendation is if you want to connect with people, don't just limit yourself to, hi, my new single is out, and then there's nothing for 3 weeks, and then, hi, my next single is out, and then there's nothing for 4 months, and then here's my latest album, out now, pre-save. Like, I don't think it's going to get you where you want to be. So yes, stay true to yourself. Don't just be like a music marketer, but be a human being, please. I implore you. People will like that. I promise. PH asks, what game genre would you be interested in scoring that you haven't done yet? Oh my goodness. I would love nothing more than to do something that's exactly like Myst. Like Riven, Myst 3 Exile, point and click. Give me a big old point and click mystery puzzle solving adventure, and I am there in a heartbeat. I've not done that yet. I've done RPGs. I'm actually working on 2 RPGs, one JRPG and one kind of more action RPG. I've done top-down Zelda-like, Power on Script. I mean, I've done a lot of those things, but I would say the next thing on my list that I would love to do, something like Myst. Anything like Myst, please. Like, if you watch this and you're making something like that, please message me. We'll talk, because it would be a dream come true. Michelle asks, I wanted to know more about the business side of composing or arranging. Have you worked on projects where you do revenue split, profit share is doing per hour, or typical flat rate lump sum? What are some of the rates normally used in the industry? Additionally, what are some ways for passive income as a composer arranger? This is a very big question that honestly could be its own 30-minute video. It's going to vary. In the AAA world, you're gonna find upwards of 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 per minute even, depending on who you are. Indie side of things, you may find someone literally saying, I can pay you $50 a minute per music. It's going to greatly vary, especially in the game soundtrack. Now, what I recommend, flat fee for a project. Only you would be able to know and to determine what that looks like financially for you, right? What is your housing cost? What is your rent or mortgage? Do you have family? Do you have people to attend to? There's so many factors that I just can't give you a specific number, but if you take those and factor those in, okay, what are your surrounding sources of income? What can the developer afford, right? Giving them quote, but not being afraid to negotiate down from that. Those types of things, it's going to really vary. And eventually, at least what has happened to me is there's enough of a demand where I don't feel like I need to take on everything. 10, 12 years ago, When I was like getting a yes email, right? So I don't know, you send out 100 emails and you get one yes. Getting that yes email is like, I don't care how much they'll pay me, I'll do it, right? For the sake of building a portfolio, building a resume, building a connection, it's worth it at that point. But now, where I am now, it's like, I have to be more picky almost about how much should I charge, baseline, like kind of minimum costs. There's so many variables, Michelle, and I wish I had a really short answer. I've not done much profit share, but I can definitely recommend flat fee. Shoot for flat fees if you can, because they're gonna be stable, they're gonna be comfortable, they're gonna be, the client sort of knows what they're getting into. There's a lot more stability with flat fee rather than, they need to track how many sales there's been and, what if they don't give you the money on time. Passive income, there's library music, right? Production music, sync licensing, depending on the style of music you make, potentially like Unity or Unreal Asset Packs if you're in the video game music world. There's so many options for passive income. Performance royalties if you're in the classical world or the performing world. There's a lot of options. I think it's just get creative and lean into what might work best for you and your style. The Motherlode asks, how do you self-impose your own schedule? This has really been a lifelong journey to get as strict as I am today. Never used to be as strict. Reason being, put simply, marriage, family, relationships, and health. When my schedule was really inhibiting my relationship, the well-being of my relationships, my friendships, my marriage, all of that, that's when I knew something needed to change, right? Because if it was like, okay, 6 o'clock rolls around, I just got to do a little more. And then suddenly it's 7 o'clock. And then, but I still got to cook dinner. And then my wife's eating late and blah, blah, blah. Like it just, right? If I was working from like 6 a.m. to like 10 p.m. or something crazy, which is what I used to do, honestly, I felt so gross. It was just awful. Like it's just not worth feeling that lousy. So really, I put my health and family and relationships above anything work-related, right? The life I live, because over time, just habit, practice of just saying, this is when I start, this is when I end, this is when I don't check anything else, this is when I don't reply to emails, and just doing that and being okay with that. Because we live in a very digital world. I've written songs about this. That it drives me bonkers. It drives me crazy with how just many little things and screens and devices and notifications and noises.
Our pockets become earthquakes, our minds hurricanes. Where are we going? What are we doing these days?
When you find peace in regularity and stillness and just being present, when you start to go out of that peaceful state, it's very noticeable and it causes a lot of overstimulation. So I'm at a point now where I don't like feeling overstimulated. So I'm very strict about when I work and when I don't. Adam asks, what do you see as the next step up in your musical career? Or are you happy on your current step? Adam, I love that. Actually, I really love that second question. Are you happy on your current step? Yes, I am. And I think I would challenge that for everyone out there making music is learn to be happy with where you are right now. Like today, in this hour on whatever the day is, February blank. Because if you're always saying, well, I'll be happy when I get there, or I'll be happy when I do that, or I'll be happy when I go there, guess what? You're gonna get to that thing, and then you're gonna be like happy for maybe 2 minutes, and you're gonna be like, well, what's next? Learn to be happy with where you are right now, because I promise then you'll enjoy the journey way more. What do I see, or what am I working toward as a next step? What would I like to see? A bit more genre bending, live performances with orchestras and large ensembles. I know that's a lofty goal, and obviously I'm kind of breaking that down into what can I do on a smaller scale. String quartets, brass quintets, concert bands, going up to regional orchestras, right? And creating that demand. But my biggest dream ever since I started making music was I want to see more orchestras do more regular concerts that are just much more mixed bags, right? So it's not like, here's the annual Pops concert that has John Williams. Ooh, like we've never heard that before. I love John Williams. Brilliant music. But can we just incorporate more like, hey, we've got a local singer-songwriter who's playing a few songs with us. Oh, and we've also got Shostakovich. Oh yeah, and we've got a film score and a video game score. Like that's what I want to see happen. That's what I want to help inspire and influence orchestras to be a part of. So I'm starting with a few months after making this video with a concert band, right? A nearby concert band saying, this is what this could look like. Going to be pitching into other concert bands in the state because all the songs are very Michigan based. Creating that type of unique event to help inspire and promote that type of collaboration. The big goal for me, I would say honestly, I can't even think of anything past it. The big goal for me would be to regularly play my original music as part of a larger concert, or maybe half of the concert, with orchestras regionally to then bring in, so it would be like Tony plus the whatever orchestra and some local artist. And I would orchestrate the music for them, or if they wanted to do it themselves, I could help them. Or they could just, if they know how to do it, then they can do it, you know? So then let's say I'm in Minneapolis or Chicago or whatever, Tony plus so-and-so plus the orchestra, Tony plus so-and-so plus the orchestra, because I really want to help. Not only would that feel very communal for the local artist, but it would also feel like I'm also moving the needle in my bigger, loftier goal of inspiring more orchestras to do more stuff like that. Sean Campbell asks, how do you fight the almighty beast that is procrastination? What are some techniques you use to help keep you motivated? Yes, well, procrastination is certainly an almighty beast, and still struggle with it every now and then. Usually, I will say, at this point in my life, I find procrastination stems from a deeper underlying fatigue, right? And fatigue for me can happen in a variety of ways. Fatigue for me can happen creatively. I've been working on a lot of boss battles for a game that I've been scoring for the last 3 years. Can't say much about it, but there's a lot of boss battles. And so what'll happen to me is if I just churn those out every day, all the time, I'll get to this point where I'm like, I need to do something else, right? I need to put my creativity in something that's not so huge and massive and intense. So there's fatigue creatively, there's also fatigue physically, right? So if I'm not sleeping, if I'm not eating well, if I'm not taking care of myself as well as I should, that will also lead to procrastination because my body is just dying to do nothing. So it's like the contrast between my body wants to sleep, but my brain's like, no, I gotta work, I gotta get it done. It's a bad combo. So sleep is like number one. Good sleep usually solves most of my procrastination issues, to be honest. And then I think there's also just the emotional fatigue, right? So is there something I'm not addressing in my life? Is there a fear that I'm having? Is there an anxiety that I'm not dealing with? Is there something that I'm worried about that's taking me out of the present moment? Is there something in the past that I'm just like, ugh? So bringing myself back to right here, right now, in good health, and with awareness of what it is that I'm feeling called to work on, right? So maybe the client's waiting for that boss battle, but to be honest, what'll make it a better boss battle is if I work on something else today and do the boss battle tomorrow. Maybe today is a matter of just practicing and writing a new song. And then that means that the boss battle tomorrow, I'm more focused, I'm more intentional about it. So being aware, learning awareness. Betterfingers asks, what do you recommend to form quality connections with other composers online? Truth be told, I mean, there's not really one simple way, but I think just listening and sharing and talking about like-minded stuff, and not even necessarily music. I think a lot of times in the audio world, people feel the need to talk about their favorite plugins or whatever. And it's like, well, like what's your favorite game? Or what's your favorite outdoor activity? Or how many kids do you have? Right? Those types of conversations I felt have led to the stronger, deeper composer connections that I've had. One of my best friends, Kyle Lydian, we talk about like grilling and landscaping. Like, we don't really talk about, now every now and then we'll be like, hey, can you listen to this thing? Sure, yeah, because you're both trained professionals and you have good ears. But finding those kind of deeper layers will help create those quality connections, in my opinion, right? What are the more human things that you can relate to? So I think just put yourself out there, respond to people, become interested in them. What are they doing? How are they living their life? Because that will then draw them to you and you'll find people. It'll be great. Bethel asks, if you can make any two genres come together for an overnight sensation and get an ongoing recognition, what would they be? For example, orchestral lo-fi. Not giving your own answer at all. Okay, that's fine. All I want to see happen is orchestra plus literally anything else. Orchestra plus, like, I don't regularly listen to the levels of pop of like Sabrina Carpenter, for example. But if we could have that on mainstream radio, with a full darn symphony orchestra, I would be in heaven. Like, I just want more of that. And like, not the trailerized, I hate to say it, not the trailerized orchestration where it's like things that would be kind of impossible to do live, you know, where you've got like 13 trombones and 4 tubas and whatever it is, just these walls of trailerized orchestra music that you'll find in here. Like, it's not impossible, I guess, but you would need a lot of musicians, but more like traditional orchestration, I suppose, plus literally anything else. NF, great rapper, and he has brought on Tommy Prophet to do some orchestra stuff for him, and it sounds great. And I'm like, man, why isn't this more popular? I would just love to hear it become more of a regular thing, right? It could be metal, it could be reggae, it could be whatever. There's so many possibilities that the orchestra can bring to the table, and then it would kind of reinvigorate the orchestra as a whole, as an ensemble. So many of my classical music friends, the orchestras are struggling with funding and ticket sales, and there's no one young in the audience. But it's like if we could do more of this, where we have more mainstream music plus more classical orchestra as a combination consistently, I would guarantee that more people would be attending orchestra concerts, right? You could do it on a local level, regional level, big city level, right? Like your big Chicago Symphony style people. Make it a trend, right? Make it a thing. I don't know, in my opinion, I think it would make the music world exciting all over again, in my opinion. So if you'd like to be part of the fun, my Discord channel is in the description below. Please join, please spread the word. You can always hang out with me on my streams as well. I do that these days. And these Q&As will be happening probably quarterly, a few times a year. So for fun, because I think it'll be fun to look back and reflect on what's changed since 2025, what's changed since 2000, whatever. It'll just be fun. It'll be a neat little way to kind of, almost like a little diary or journal entry throughout the year. And then suddenly I'll be 60 and I'll look back on my YouTube videos from 2025 and it'll be like, anyway, that's the plan. I like thinking long term. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. See you in Discord, see you on all the platforms, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.